It's yet another exciting evening right here in the garden city of Port Harcourt. On that note, I welcome you to this evening edition of Sport Extraordinary right here on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Emmanuel Michael. Glad to be here this evening to take you through the latest gist coming in from the world of sport. And it is a big night in the UEFA Champions League because Paris Saint-Germain will be hoping to hold their 5-4 advantage as they travel down to Allianz Arena in the second leg UEFA Champions League semi-final. Beyond that, former Netherlands midfielder Wesley Sneijder has claimed UEFA should have cancelled the UEFA Champions League semi-final second leg clash between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid yesterday because the game, according to him, failed to live up to the standard. We'll do well to take a look at that, plus other big stories. But the crux of the matter this evening will be centered around the UEFA Champions League stories. Don't go anywhere because we'll be back in a jiffy.
You don't tire for this picture. Oh yeah, make you follow Unorodo. Nigeria don't go digital with free TV. Over 100 channels they wait you. Sport, news, and better entertainment for your own language. No matter where you dey. Whether for city or whether for village, the satellite signal they reach every corner of Nigeria from day one. No monthly payment again. Once you get to don't get free to air decoder, you don't win. This one, now our own national asset. Even from your phone, you feel watch out. Just download the free TV app and carry your TV go anywhere you dey go. Scan that code now or call 0700-388-7277. Free TV, digital TV for free. Brought to you by MBC.
Welcome back from that short break. I have two gentlemen with me in the building this evening. Miracle Nyekezi is here. Miracle, good evening and welcome to Sport Extraordinary.
Yeah, good evening, Michael. Good evening, Port Harcourt. So it's nice to be here to talk sports.
Ezi is also here this evening. Ezi, you make a return yet again this evening. Good evening to you, Ezi, and welcome to Sport Extraordinary.
Good evening, Mr. Michael. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Without much ado, let's start from the big stories because UEFA Champions League went down last night as Arsenal have reached their first UEFA Champions League final in 20 years after defeating Atletico Madrid 2-1 on aggregate. Bukayo Saka's first half goal was the difference in the second leg after the teams draw 1-1 in Madrid last week. In the second period, Atletico were denied a penalty for a challenge on Antoine Griezmann, while Victor Gyökeres missed a glorious opportunity to put the home side further ahead. Arsenal will now face either Bayern Munich or Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Champions League final in Budapest on Saturday, May 30th, 2026. Izzy, I will start with you because you were here yesterday. We talked about the chances of these two teams progressing, and I could remember yesterday you were picking Atletico Madrid ahead of Arsenal. First off, what do you make of the standard of the game yesterday? Did it actually live up to expectation for you?
For a football knockout game, you have to look at what you want to be able to accomplish on that particular game. So yesterday's game, Arsenal just wanted the win, and which they got. It doesn't matter the scoreline. The main thing in a football game is just get the win, and that was what Arsenal were able to do successfully yesterday. Yes, the game was a bit boring, like some people would say. It wasn't that exciting as their counterparts, the PSG Bayern Munich game. But every game doesn't have to be like that for you to be able to progress. So I think Arsenal just went ahead, did their job, and now they're in the final.
Arsenal went ahead, did their job, and now, lo and behold, they are in the final. Miracle, Arsenal got to the final yet again after 20 years. The last time they got to the final was in 2006. And now, after 20 years, they've made it to the final again. The excitement and the celebration that you saw yesterday, does it really worth it?
Yeah, for me, I think it's a cause for celebration. I think this is the first time in their history that they'll be reaching the Champions League final after a long while. I think 20 years is a very, very, very long time. I think a lot of people have been criticizing the Arsenal team and their whole entire squad for the celebrations at the Emirates after that particular one. But left to me, I think it was a cause for celebration because we know that this particular crop of players, most of them, this will be their first Champions League finals. I think only the likes of Kai Havertz and that particular team can boast of reaching a Champions League finals with Chelsea. And for me, I think the likes of Mikel Arteta, this will be his first final as a coach, and his first European final as a coach as well. I think the players, they knew that this would be a huge achievement and a great milestone for them to climb, and eventually they did it. And for me, I wouldn't want to criticize them based on their celebration because I think it's a cause for celebration for the entire club.
All right, Eze, let's take a look at the tactical battle yesterday. Some were of the opinion that Diego Simeone committed a huge blunder when he subbed off some of the attacker, who some believe if they had stayed on the pitch would have maybe made the difference. The likes of Julian Alvarez, Griezmann, and then Lookman Ademola. Do you think that substitution by Diego Simeone was the reason why they lost to Arsenal yesterday?
If you watch the first leg and watch the second leg again, you would see that Diego Simeone came with the exact same game plan. He wanted to play hit on the counter, and Arsenal, after the second half outing that they had, the difficulty they had in the first leg against Atletico, I think they did their homework, came into the game, and we are looking to neutralize these threats. Yesterday I spoke about Arsenal's right back position, and I spoke about how Lookman would be able to capitalize on it. But Lookman, he didn't really have the best of games. So yes, I think his substitution was justified in a way. Then you look at another position, the right back position. I felt bringing in Molina and taking off Lenormand yesterday. The first two substitutions that were made by Atletico Madrid, I think it gave them a different dimension. I think they came to the second half looking to attack again, and then we saw it again. They had chances in the first few minutes of the second half, got two penalties that were not given, or two penalty appeals that were not given. So I think the only mistake, like you mentioned earlier, the taking of Julian Alvarez and Antoine Griezmann, I think these are players that are very, very influential to this team. they are the most influential players to the Atletico Madrid team. Taking them off to bring in players that are just coming into the club, Alex Baena and Thiago Almeida. These players do not have the same level of influence as Griezmann and Alvarez. Alvarez is the kind of player that he can create magic from anywhere. Griezmann is also that kind of player as well. He's a World Cup winner. Alvarez as well is also a World Cup winner. These are players that have been at the highest level of football. They've been able to see the peak of football. They've gotten to that peak. Alvarez is also a Champions League winner. Griezmann is an Europa League winner as well with this same Atletico Madrid. So these are players that can be game changers for you. They can be able to do something out of the ordinary. And taking them off around the 60th minute or so, I think before the 70th minute mark, they're already taking them off. I think that was a very huge blunder for them. And I feel leaving them on the pitch, whether they're playing well or not, they are players that it's like Messi now playing at Barcelona now. Do not take him off because he's not playing well. You leave him there, or Ronaldo at Real Madrid. You do not take him off, or an Mbappe at France. These are players that can decide games. And Alvarez and Griezmann, we are those kind of players for Atletico Madrid yesterday. So taking them off was a very huge blunder from Diego Simeone on his part.
Taking these key players off was one of the big blunder committed by Diego Simeone, according to Eze. Meanwhile, Miracle, yesterday the Arsenal side, I don't know, is there any particular player that you want to single out for special praise, despite the fact that we know that football is a collective game, and but then there are certain cases where you just need to single out a player in a particular match. Which is that player, or who is that player for you for Arsenal yesterday that made the difference?
For me, I think going for that particular encounter yesterday against Atletico Madrid, I think there are a lot of players that stood out for me, but I want to single out the presence of David Raya in that particular game yesterday. I think when he was called upon, he actually came to the party. I think all season long, I think David Raya has been one of the best Arsenal players in that team. He has been very, very good, and he has saved Arsenal when he needed to come to the party. A lot of times, even in the first leg against Atletico Madrid, we saw a fantastic save that he made when Julian Alvarez had a very, very good strike in that particular game. Yesterday, I think it was fantastic. Keeping a clean sheet in a very, very crucial game. His ninth clean sheet of the Champions League campaign. I think he'll be gunning for that Golden Gloves as well in the Champions League, as well as the Premier League. I think he's been fantastic and a very, very good player for Arsenal this season.
Ezzy, what do you make of the defensive frame of, defensive backline of Arsenal Football Club? They've considered the meanness of a goal. In fact, their defense is the best so far in this season's UEFA Champions League. You talk about win ratio. They have won 11 games and drawn 3. What do you make of the defensive framework of Arsenal? They've considered only 6 goals.
To be honest, I'm not so impressed by how they've been able to perform in the Champions League. Yes, they've had a couple games where they've not conceded. But if you look at the level of oppositions they've played the likes of Atletico Bilbao, Sporting, Leverkusen. These are top teams on their own level, but not at the level of Arsenal. So keeping a clean sheet, yes, they still have the most clean sheets in the Premier League. Yes, you give them that. So definitely, the defense is doing something that's obviously working for them. They have the likes of Gabriel and Saliba that one of the best partnerships in defensive partnerships in world football right now. You have at the back, you have David Raya. You also have your Timber and Nkapie. So yes, they are very good. They have a very good defensive structure. But yesterday, you can still see that there are still lapses in this defense that can still be exploited. Because you look over the past couple of years, we had very good defensive teams that I feel have been able to withstand better teams than this Arsenal team have. If you watch 2017 Juventus, they played the likes of Monaco, they played the likes of I think Dortmund, they played the likes of Barcelona, played the likes of Barcelona as well with the MSN during the MSN period, and then they shot that Barcelona team out. So and then they got to the final as well. You have Inter Milan last year until they lost to PSG as well. These are very, very defensive teams that have shown that you cannot just defend, or defending, their philosophy is not just defending, but they can also show a level of attacking football that is still entertaining to watch. I think besides the defensive aspect, I've not really been impressed with how Arsenal have been able to attack because if you look at their prowess, besides yesterday, I don't think they've scored too many open play goals, and it's an issue. Yes, your technique or your tactics is more based on set pieces and all of that, but as a big team, you can't just rely on set pieces. You also have to look at how can you be able to create, and their creativity for me has been subpar in my view. Yes, Eze is there. You have Declan Rice just moving the ball around, but for me, it's not really something you would say at the highest level of football. I think even a team like Manchester United obviously have a better creativity than them, like Bruno Fernandes. If you also look at a team like, I think even a team like, I would not go so far to compare them. I think even a team like Crystal Palace has a better creativity than Arsenal. So for me, to be honest, they are a more creative team than Arsenal. So this is one issue that Arsenal would probably have to look into. Yes, the defense is good, but how do you do while going forward?
Now, let's leave that aside. If this Arsenal side, taking a look at the way they are playing and how defensively good they are, they still remain the only team unbeaten in this year's UEFA Champions League. If they end up winning this UEFA Champions League, will you say that this is the best squad of Arsenal compared to the 2006 squad?
Best squad,
or even the invisible squad?
The invisible squad, they had the likes of Thierry Henry, Patrice Vieira, and all that, but you would not, probably there is, getting to the final after 20 years, it's a very huge achievement for Arsenal. I will applaud them for that. These boys have shown that they can get to the semi-final last year, and now getting to the final this year, they've shown that yes, they can be able to maintain a high level of footballing quality to be able to do this in the top club competition in world football. So yes, I would applaud them for that. But comparing them to the likes of the invisible, I don't think it's something you would go as far as doing that. Yes, these players are good, but that team had the likes of Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, and all of that. They had very good players that could dominate any single team. You saw how they played during their time and how they were able to dominate English football for a while and to get to the final as well. For me, this team is a bit below them. For me, in my books, they're just slightly below them.
Moving on to other big stories still emanating from the UEFA Champions League, as former Netherlands midfielder Wesley Sneijder has claimed UEFA should have cancelled the UEFA Champions League semi-final second leg between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid yesterday. Sneijder hit out at the quality of the game, which was settled by Bukayo Saka's first half goal. According to him, the level of football was far below standard that was expected of such a high-stake game. And Miracle, I will turn to you. It's about the standard of the game, the quality of the game yesterday. Wesley Sneijder is come out to hit out at Arsenal. He's saying that UEFA was supposed to stop that game because the game failed to live up to the standard. Do you agree with him?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, we've been watching the Champions League for years now. We've seen worse game than this particular fixture. Yesterday, I think, yes, the two teams were very, very compact when it comes to their defense. I think they tried to play safe, knowing fully well how important the fixture was. I think the fact that Arsenal were playing at their own backyard even made things worse, but I wouldn't want to tag it as one of the worst games I've watched, because we saw some few signs of creativity. We saw saves, some few saves. Yes, Atletico Madrid, they were not that clinical in front of goal, or they were not that as much attacking minded as we saw them in the first leg. But I don't think Wesley Sneijder has any right to come out to the media or to the general public to make decisions for UEFA or to suggest on whether a game should be cancelled or not due to how event turned out in that particular fixture.
All right, we have our man, a seasoned sport journalist, Bate Barina Iyalo, joining us all the way from the Coal City State this evening. Bate, good evening and welcome to Sport Extraordinary.
Yeah, good evening. Emmanuel, the Prime Minister of Sports. Good evening to the guys in the live studio there with you. It's a pleasure to be on the show this evening.
All right, without much ado, let me take you straight to this big question that is raising eyebrow, because Wesley Sneijder has come out to claim that UEFA should have stopped Arsenal's game yesterday because why? According to him, the game failed to live up to standard. Do you agree with Wesley Sneijder?
Well, I'm going to talk about the standard of the UEFA.
Bate, are you there? Bate, are you there? All right, while we wait for Bate to reconnect, let me come back to the studio. Miracle, now you are saying that Wesley Sneijder is not right in his position of saying that UEFA should have stopped that game. What are the ingredients that you think makes a football match worth, living up to its standard?
For me, I think it depends on how the two teams comes out with their tactical inputs in that particular one. I think we've seen games whereby we had two defensive managers, but at the end of the day, they end up giving us some fantastic football. We've seen games that end in a 0-0 scoreline, but at the end of the day, it was very, very interesting to watch.
True.
We've seen chances creates, we've seen goalkeeper save balls at the end of the day, but we still end up saying this game was a very, very fantastic game to watch. Yes.
And maybe that is what Sneijder was talking about when he meant that this game didn't live up to expectation.
Yeah, I think if we are going by that, yes, we didn't really see a lot of chances created. I think I still remain adamant that the fact that Diego Simeone removed such striker, that it was a good decision to make substitution, because I feel like removing top strikers like that in a game that is very, very important to your season. I think you've rested players in the last couple of weeks because of this particular fixture, and at the end of the day, you don't end up coming out with a victory and you remove your top guns eventually from that one. For me, I think it was a decision that I am actually questioning. But going by what Wesley Sneijder said, if we're going by the chances created, yes, we didn't really see so much chances created. But the fact that we saw a goal in that particular game and a team actually came out with the victory, not even taking it to maybe extra time or not, I wouldn't want to agree with him that UEFA would have eventually sidelined that particular fixture.
I think Batel is back with us. Let's see if we can re-establish a connection with him. Batel, I'm sure that you are with us and you heard every bit of the discussion. I don't know, what is your take on this? Which side of the divide are you? Do you really feel that yesterday's game lived up to its standard, or you think there are certain ingredients which could not come on board regarding that game? All right, I will still try and see if we can, re-establish that connection. There seems to be a network breakdown from his end, though. Ezzy, let's talk about one aspect of the game that was so controversial and contestable. Two penalty calls from the side of Atletico Madrid. Do you think by in any chance those calls were worthy of a penalty?
Yes, certainly. If you look at the first penalty call or the first penalty appeal by Atletico Madrid, it was the foul committed by Gabriel on Juliano Simeone in the penalty box, where it was a golden chance for Atletico Madrid to equalize the game, and you saw that you can clearly see that Gabriel did not get the ball. Yes, the ball was going over, but yes, it was because of the pressure that he put on Simeone. That's why Simeone missed the chance. And then Gabriel clearly not getting the ball, for me, should have been both a yellow card and a penalty. And the fact that the VAR did not call the referee to review the incident, I think it's a bit, I would not call it controversial. Yes, there are cases where some days the referees would favor you, some days the referee would not favor you. So it's like any normal football game. But I think that one was a bit more controversial than the second one. The second one was a 50-50 challenge. I think, I won't say, okay, let me say 50-50 challenge between Gabriel and Pupil, both of them going for the ball, and the foul was committed by Pupil according to the referee on Gabriel before the penalty appeal came in from Griezmann. So it's, for me, it was just one of those days for Atletico Madrid. They were just a bit unlucky with those calls, and I think looking ahead, I think they can still be able to build on this going to the Champions League semi-final. After the last time they were at this stage was I think that was 2018. I think so. That was 2018. That was the last time they were at this stage, or was it 2017? One of them. So coming back after a couple of years to this level, I think they've done themselves proud.
I believe Batel is back with us all the way from the coast city state. Batel, I was asking, do you agree with Wesley Sneijder, who claimed that yesterday's game did not live up to its standard?
Well, so Fofana, when he's talking about the standard of the UEFA Champions League game, what is he talking about? He should let us know, because it was 11 against him on the field of play. And the referee, the officials of that game, everything was intact. So what is he referring to? If he was saying that the game did not live up to his expectation, that the performance of both teams were poor on the night, I would totally agree with him. But saying a whole UEFA Champions League game, they cancel the most glamorous football game on planet Earth. When we talk about club football, come on. I think Wesley Fofana should look for something else to say, because I think you've seen worse UEFA Champions League games than this. We have seen games where one team just packed the balls, and at the end of the day, they were able to hit the opposition team on the counter and then gets the winning goal. So it was all about the tactics that the team will put up, the coaches will put up to ensure that they get victory. What was in the mind of Mikel Arteta and Diego Simeone last night was, what will I do to ensure that we progress to the finals? And they came up with a defensive formation, and it worked out for Mikel Arteta. So I think that yes, it was disappointing because we didn't see much goals like the game between Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich in the first leg. And if you look at the first leg of this Champions League game between Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain, between Arsenal and Atletico rather, you will see that in the first leg there was not much goals. 2 shots on target in the first leg. In the second leg, that's to tell you that these two sides, they are from day one, they're defensive minded. If you look at Arsenal this season, one of the sides that they concede fewer goals, both in the Premier League and the UEFA Champions League, and that's why they've been able to, not have been able to beat them in the Champions League this season. The first team this season to, since when the league phase of the UEFA Champions League that being introduced, no team have been to the finals without being defeated. Arsenal is the first side to do that. So Wesley Fofana, yes, he might be disappointed by the quality of play, but at this stage of the competition, what you need is not the entertaining football. What you need is the results. And if being defensive will give you the results, you go ahead to do it. At the end of the day,
all right, more network issue from his end. I believe we'll have him back. Meanwhile, Ezzy, let's talk about the algorithm and setting stats that is very peculiar with the UEFA Champions League. First off, in 2008, Chelsea Football Club got to the final against Manchester United and lost it. Their second return to the final in 2012, they won it at the Allianz Arena against Bayern Munich.
Entirely writing Arsenal off. I think they've done very well to get to this position at this stage of the season. The Champions League final, it's not every club that can boast to be able to do that in the past couple of years. Yeah, get to the final after 20 years, it's a commendable achievement. But then you look at the players in this Arsenal squad now. What kind of players do they have? How many of these players have actually gotten to this level of football before now? Yes, there is a saying of going and coming, or losing your first one and coming back. We've seen it with Chelsea, we've seen it with PSG, Man City, and all the rest. But you look at the Chelsea team that won the Champions League, after losing in was it 2008? They came out in 2012. You look at the people they had in that team. They had the likes of Didier Drogba, had the likes of Frank Lampard, had the likes of Petr Cech. These are John Terry. These are players that are seasoned professionals. They've been able to achieve great things in their career over the long. Besides that Champions League, I think the Champions League was one thing I was missing. They've won the Premier League title beforehand, so they had a feeling of winning. They had that feeling of winning already. Look at Man City as well. When they came back to win the Champions League, they've already won the Premier League a number of times. They've already gotten to that high level of football, and you saw how they played that season, beating Real Madrid, the defending champions, by 4-0 in the second leg of the semi-final. Look at PSG as well. They played Bayern Munich, and then they came back as well, winning the Champions League final with probably a younger squad. But you look at the people they had in that squad. They had the likes of Donnarumma is already an Euro champion. He has already won the Euro as well. They had Marquinhos, that is already a seasoned veteran. But this Arsenal team now, who can you say has gotten to this level of football? I think besides Kai Havertz, that has already won the Champions League, and Bukayo Saka, that has gotten to the final twice with England, Euro final twice with England. I don't think you have any outstanding player in that. Okay, and Declan Rice. I don't think you have any outstanding player that has gotten to that peak of football to be actually see, okay, I can be able to achieve this thing in my footballing career. So I think it's something that it's a mindset, and then you look at how they've played in the past couple of seasons, coming close last 3 years, finishing second in the Premier League. I think it's a psychological issue. So coming into this final, I feel if they do come in and they try to score and they do not score early, or when they score early and the other team, whoever it is, either PSG or Bayern Munich, equalizes and I put them under pressure, I do feel this Arsenal team will definitely struggle, because they do not have the players that can, I feel they do not have the players that can take them to that achievement that they want to be able to achieve. Even the coach as well, you look at the coach as well, Mikel Arteta, look at the coaches that these people had, Pep Guardiola, Luis Enrique, these are people that have already won the Champions League before. Chelsea, it was Di Matteo, right? Okay, yes. So these are coaches that you can say they've already won, achieved something. But Mikel Arteta now, besides the FA Cup, he hasn't really won anything for this Arsenal side. Yes, he's going to be coming in to try and win something, which I will commend him for. But I think it's going to be a very, very difficult game for Arsenal, whoever they play in that final.
Difficult game awaited Arsenal at Budapest because they will either come up against Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich, who are locked up in action tonight in a fight to see who clinches the final ticket for the UEFA Champions League final. We'll take a quick break here. When we are back, we'll continue with some of the top stories still emanating from the UEFA Champions League. much. Welcome back from that short break. You are still onto Atlantic Television Network, and this is a Sport Extraordinary, where we are taking you through the extraordinary things in the world of sports. Our focus has been the UEFA Champions League semi-final second leg clash last night between the Gunners, that is Arsenal, against Atletico Madrid, where Arsenal progressed through after a 2-1 aggregate victory. They now wait either Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich in the final at Budapest. Let's continue with some of the top stories still revolving around the UEFA Champions League, because Arsenal's Champions League elimination of Atletico Madrid condemned Diego Simeone's side to a fifth straight season without a silverware, inevitably raising questions over the Argentine coach's future. Asked if he had the strength to continue after Thursday's defeat in London, Simeone's answer was unusual one. Whether Simeone will oversee the project is yet to be definitively answered, but every time they have been doubts over his past decades and half, he has always chosen to stay at Atletico Madrid. But are you there?
Yes, Emmanuel, I can hear you.
Okay, the defeat to Atletico Madrid yesterday now cast a shadow of doubt for the coach Diego Simeone, the highest paid coach in the world of football currently. But that defeat yesterday leaves so many questions in the lips of football followers across the globe, whether Diego Simeone is going to resign or still stay put for Atletico Madrid after failing to win a single silverware in the last 5 years.
Well, Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid, they've been together for a very long time. This marriage, I think, if I'm not mistaken, has been over 5-6 years. So, and a marriage that has been for very 5-6 years, you will say that the partner, they've on this, they know each other very well. Now, going back to the world of football, Diego Simeone leaving Atletico Madrid because of this defeat, I think no, because this is not the first time that any other team have beaten Diego Simeone at this stage of the competition. In other cities in the past, he had been beaten in the semi-finals and he did not, resign. So I think the board at Atletico Madrid, something they love, something special about Diego Simeone that they love so much, and that's why they don't want to let him go. If it was a team like maybe Barcelona, Real Madrid, or Chelsea in the Premier League, maybe just maybe they would have sacked him, even though he fails to decide not to resign. But for me, I think that these two sides they will be together. If Diego Simeone is going to leave Atletico Madrid, it will boil down to the board. If they decide to sack him, if they made up their mind to sack him, but say Diego Simeone will turn down a resignation letter, I doubt that might not happen, because look at the passion he has for the club. He will be on the touch standing for 90 minutes, and if there is an extra time, he will still be standing. You will see other coaches who come to the touchline, dish out instructions to the players, and they will go back to sit down. Some will stand for a few minutes and then they will go back to sit down. But Diego Simeone, from the blast of the whistle to the final whistle, he is always standing, jumping, dishing out instructions. That's how passionate Diego Simeone is to Atletico Madrid. So I think that for me, to answer your question, Diego Simeone, I doubt he will not resign. He will not resign. But except the board decide to sack him. And if they sack him, who are they going to bring him? That's the topic of discussion.
Meanwhile, tonight promises to be yet another interesting night as Paris Saint-Germain takes a 5-4 advantage down to Germany tonight in their second leg UEFA Champions League semi-final clash against Bayern Munich. The big question here is, can Paris Saint-Germain hold on to this advantage, or will Bayern bite back tonight?
Well, I have diligently looked at the statistics of this game, and I must tell you that the odds favor Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena They are yet to lose a single game in the UEFA Champions League this season at the Allianz Arena, which is their home ground. And if you look at the Bundesliga, you cover that they just lost about 3-4 games at their home ground also, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the thing that I think they are very solid. The Allianz Arena is a fortress for Bayern Munich this season. So with Paris Saint-Germain being able to hold on to that one goal lead, I think this is where experience will come in because Luis Enrique, who is the head coach of Paris Saint-Germain, is very, very, when it comes to the Champions League, he has that experience, more experience than Vincent Kompany. Yes, because he won the competition last season seamlessly, and he's going with that same momentum into the second leg. He will have it at the back of his mind that last season I was able to make it to the final, so Bayern Munich cannot stop me. Going with that mentality is going to be very, very difficult for Bayern Munich tonight. Now, if you look at this side, keep them side by side, it's more that they have a lot of talented players in these two teams. So sad for Paris Saint-Germain that Hakimi will not be on the field of play today due to the injury sustained in the first leg. But if you put Hakimi out of the team, there are other players that will step in to get the job done. So it boils down tonight, the team that is able to utilize their chances, team that is so tactical on the field of play, which I think the experience of Diego Simeone is going to play a major role in this encounter. Do Bayern Munich have the players to prosecute this particular game? Yes. One thing is having the players, one thing is having an experienced coach that can utilize the player. Let me give you an example. The type of players that Enzo Maresca used to win the Club World Cup, to win the UEFA Cup last season, and was actually doing well in the Premier League this season before he was sacked. The type of players under the former coach of Chelsea, talking about Rosania, he wasn't able to utilize this. That's when experience comes in. So I think tonight, Vincent Kompany, yes, he has started with this Bayern Munich side. He has won the Bundesliga title with them. But against an experienced coach like Luis Enrique tonight, it's going to be very, very difficult for him. He was not on the touchline in the first leg. His team scored 4 goals. He will be on the touchline. Will he still be able to score? We will wait and see how that will pan out. But for me, I think here at Paris Saint-Germain, they have an advantage, which is a 1-goal advantage, and that's all they need to progress to the finals. If they are able to hold on to this scoreline till the end of 90 minutes, I tell you, Paris Saint-Germain will progress to the final. But we've seen these two sides that it's the two sides that know how to score goals. One thing I was looking at, are we going to see another 9 goals in this game tonight? I doubt if that will happen because the both sides will be very careful. The first 10 minutes of this game, Bayern Munich are going to come out because they want to score to take the goal aggregates to 5-5, and that might haunt them because Paris Saint-Germain have crazy players up front. They have Kvaratskhelia and they have Desirou, they have Ousmane Dembele. These are players that if you give them any slight opportunity, they will punish you. They will put the ball at the back of the net. And look at the back of Bayern Munich. They've been awful. They considered 4 goals against PSG in the first 5 goals against PSG in the first leg. Now, if you look at their recent games in the Bundesliga, you will discover that these players, this team, I think last weekend, they considered 3 goals. Again, another person will say that they won the Bundesliga title already. That's why they can let in goals anyhow. But go back and check Bayern Munich this season in the Bundesliga. They have been conceding goals. So they have a very poor backline and a poor defense against one of the best attack in the UEFA Champions League this season. It's going to be very, very difficult for Vincent Kompany. I think that maybe he might have reached out to his former the coach he played on, which is Pep Guardiola, who has won this competition with Barcelona and with Manchester City. Maybe Pep Guardiola might have given him, and this is just my personal opinion, maybe Pep Guardiola might have given some tips about how to beat Paris Saint-Germain tonight. But for me, I think despite the fact that Bayern Munich, they have not lost any game at home in the UEFA Champions League this season, facing Paris Saint-Germain going into this particular second leg semi-final, which is to me the final before the finals, is going to be very, very difficult. Vincent Company. But if they're able to utilize the something they have in this game, knowing really well that it's going to be played under 1 hour 30 minutes, I tell you they might progress to the final. But seeing PSG in the final, that's what I'm anticipating.
All right, but just hold on. Let's come back to the studio and get the opinions of the guys here in tonight's clash. Ezzy, let me also start with you. How will you expect, or how do you expect Luis Enrique to set up his team tonight against the Bavarians?
I see a lot of similarity between this PSG team and the Madrid team that played in 2023, because these are teams that won the Champions League the previous season and then come to the semi-finals the very next year with the same crop of players, same group of players, same coach, same tactics and everything. Yes, you won the Champions League the previous season and now you're in the semi-finals of Champions League the very next season. It's something that should be applauded of any manager. But then you also have to look at how well are they playing this season. Are they firing the way they are firing last season? So how magical their run was when they got until they got the final and then defeated Inter Milan by 5-0. So Madrid's owner as well too, getting the final, playing against Liverpool and won the final. But the very next season, they were just, yes, the same crop of players, but they were just there. They didn't really play well, but they were able to win games and get to the semi-final before they played the first leg, played a very entertaining game against Man City, played a 1-1 draw, then going to the second leg and then lost 4-0. So I see a very similar incident. I'm not saying PSG will go out and lose 4-0 against Bayern Munich, but then how well are they playing? And then you also have to look at Bayern Munich now. What are the injury woes? PSG will be without Hakimi today, and we saw how Mendes struggled against Olise in the first leg. And these are two players that are very fundamental to how they want to play. So how will they be able to cope with this Bayern Munich attacks is something I do not know of.
All right, Miracle, what is your prediction in tonight's encounter? Bayern against Paris Saint-Germain, your prediction?
Yeah, for me, I think in as much as I know that Bayern will be playing in their own backyard and the odds are in their favor, I just feel like this game might be won on the touchline by the tactical input from the coaches. And I feel like when it comes to tactics, I want to give Luis Enrique the nudge over Coach Vincent Company. I just feel like Paris Saint-Germain will do enough to see this one through. 3-2.
3-2. All right, let's return to the cool city and look, links with Bater. Bater, I'm sure you are still there. Bayern Munich tonight, can they go past PSG? And finally, 1 minute. Galatasaray have placed a price tag of 150 million euros on Victor Osimhen. That is the equivalent of 238.8 billion naira. Do you think that Victor Osimhen deserves such a price tag? Just 1 minute before we wrap up.
Well, before I give you my prediction for the Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich game, let me talk about our own brother, Victor Osimhen. When I saw that amount, I think, Pate, what are you doing in the media? And start playing football. But that is the end of the day. I think Victor Osimhen deserves that amount. Look at what he did with Napoli, helped them win the Scudetto, I think after 30 minutes. So, coming back to Galatasaray, he has been phenomenal with the team. He has banged in goals left, right, and center. So, Victor Osimhen is that kind of player that guarantees you 20 goals plus in a season. And that's why a lot of clubs, just like Real Madrid, Juventus, Arsenal, they are looking for a signature. So, I think Osimhen deserves this amount of money. But the big question remains, which team, which club will want to, break the bank to pay this amount and sign Victor Osimhen? Osimhen is gradually getting to an peak, and then We will know if anything we're going to break the bank to stand the same. But I think he deserved it.
All right, your prediction in tonight's clash before we leave.
Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern Munich, dicey game. But let me go to the point. It's going to end 3-2 in favor of Paris Saint-Germain. So it's going to be Paris Saint-Germain versus Arsenal in the finals. And Paris Saint-Germain is going to beat Arsenal to lift the UEFA Champions League trophy. Mark my words.
All right, Bate has already concluded, his prediction and where he thinks the final is going to tilt toward. We'll just keep our fingers crossed, hoping that your prediction is going to come out through, so that you will not be false prophet in this instance. All right, Bate, I want to thank you so much for finding out time out of your busy schedule once more to join us on the show this evening.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for having me. Always a pleasure joining you from the cold city.
All right, this is the size of the program this evening. I did a show alongside Ezi, a Miracle, and of course Bate, a seasoned sport journalist all the way from Coal City. My name is Emmanuel Michael, the Prime Minister of the Airwaves, and we are saying, have a very beautiful night ahead. Football without violence. Go out there, watch tonight's game without sentiment of violence. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 8, we'll be back here to serve you the full result and other big G's popping up from the ever busy world of sport. Have a nice evening.
Tired of the snow? Tired of the bad TV signals? Nigeria has gone digital. Introducing Free TV, the national platform for every Nigerian. Get 100 plus channels immediately. Sports, news, and entertainment in your native language with clear picture quality. Whether you're in the city or the village, our satellite signal reaches every corner of 36 states from day one. No monthly subscription, just a compatible decoder and you are set. It's a national asset built for you. Take the show on the road, download the Free TV app and stream your favorite channels anywhere. Starting this May, scan to download the app or call 0700 388 7277. Free TV, digital TV for free. Brought to you by NBC.